Hello, oh, wait.
30 seconds.
Hello, YouTube. We are live on the YouTube. If you're watching us from the future, you missed a really great live show, but here it is in memorized form, in recorded form. Welcome, and we hope you will be entertained. Go now, Steph.
Oh, sorry. You're listening to PotentialCast, Season 6, Episode 17. Hello again. So. A demon that Jonathan, Andrew, and Warren unleashed on Buffy causes her to drift between her friends in the real world and an alternate reality where her mother is still alive.
What?
Are we sure that's the alternate reality?
My name is Stephanie.
I'm Kimberly.
This is Gabby.
I am Illyrio.
And I'm Moira.
Moira.
Welcome.
Brown.
Canada. Canada. Canada.
It's 3-2.
That's right. We are 3-2. We are from the Quebec-Windsor corridor right here. So anyone east or west of that can go fuck yourself. This is the only time to do that.
Whoa!
Sorry, Rachel McLaughlin Horn, but Edmonton, Schmedmonton, you had a snowstorm last week. It's time for some good old St. Lawrence Seaway love. All right. Hey. How's everybody been?
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Amazing.
I've been better, but all right.
It's been forever.
So, it has been forever.
I've been hanging out with rock stars. That's
Forever since this episode. Say that again.
I said I've been hanging out with rock stars. It's been a good week.
Whoa, you fancy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Woo.
Do you want to tell us whom?
Geddy Lee.
No, Canadian band. Think
He is
about
Canadian.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Russia is Canadian.
not Rush.
Brian Adams?
Tragically hip people.
Oh, I don't know any of those people.
Oh, yes.
I do.
Was
Anyway,
it
moving
Gord?
on. No, it was Rob.
Was it Gord? Rob.
Not Mr. Downey.
Those are such Canadian names, by the way. Gord.
Yes, they are
Yeah.
so Canadian.
And of course, Dave. The most Canadian name of all.
Yes, these are the Daves I know.
There are no Davids. There
No.
are no Davids in Canada.
They're
They're
all
just
Daves.
Daves. That's right.
How have you been, Mr. Lario?
Well, I must say that these basement renovations are taking forever.
That was my whole
But
time. I thought you just panned
I hung up a sheet of drywall today, so there's progress.
Of how many that need to be hung?
All of them.
So one out of all.
Yeah. But as they say, the journey of 1,000 miles. What am I saying?
Begins with a single step.
1,600 kilometers. With a single sheet of drywall.
Drywall is heavy stuff, baby. You ever tried to lift that? It's heavy. Oh,
Yeah, I'm doing it very carefully. Don't worry, it's all controlled.
good. I don't want to have to make a house call 2.5 hours down the road.
No. I had my son. I had my.
Your son was spotting you?
You're putting him to work.
I was gonna say sonogram. I had my ultrasound the other day for my medical condition, so
Yes,
hopefully we'll get
and-
some results soon and see when I'm gonna get my surgery scheduled. So we'll see. But I'm okay. I'm being very
No, I
careful.
don't want Nicholas spotting
All right, enough
you. I
about
think-
that. No, but yeah, but my daughter started her second year of hockey. My
Yay.
son has
Yes.
started archery.
Really awesome.
I think, yeah, archery. He had his first class. He had an initiation to water polo yesterday, but he's not really that interested. So
Oh.
Mm.
I think he shies away from team sports.
Oh.
So, Larry,
Yeah,
I'm just
I think he shies
contrasting,
away from team sports.
comparing and contrasting. So your daughter started her second year of hockey. My son started his second
Yep.
year of university.
Nice.
Oh, God. You just wait.
Man, your kids are old.
They are. It must mean I'm old, Larry.
Not at all.
Whoa.
Not at all.
Anyway.
Awesome.
Kids.
No, but it's great for us to get together and hang out and talk about whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, do you guys watch anything cool?
You mean like Buffy?
I saw a pretty awesome episode of Buffy that finally makes me stop hating the show again. Hey!
Yay!
Yay!
I really
All
hope
right.
this isn't
Wait.
like a one-off episode, because I'd be pissed
Yeah.
if they just sort of like,
Quick survey.
okay.
The quick survey is, how many of you believe that it was in her head?
What?
Believe what? You mean that?
Believe what?
Alright.
I'm literally 50-50. It could go either way. I would like it if I would enjoy it if it went either way. That is how much I enjoyed this episode. It when it was introduced, I'm like, holy shit, this is so interesting. But if it wasn't, I'd be like, nah, it's a TV show. You know what I mean?
I
I
must say that my
loved
favorite part was when the doctor was detailing all of the insanity, especially the
Yes.
sister she created.
Mhm.
Yes.
To create a familial unit. Oh God, I
Well-
just love it. Love it.
Even in the Buffy world, in the world that we've known so far, like even Xander says it when they're sitting on the couch. He's like, he lists off all those crazy things. He's like, oh yeah, you know, like he's like, you might be right. It's like, I was like, oh shit, I thought it was fantastic.
I want her to be crazy and have imagined everything so fucking mad. Oh my God, that's genius. Ah.
But you know
I-
what?
Awesome.
I don't believe for a minute that that's how it's going to go. I think this is a one-off.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
she
Sorry.
is. I think the quality is not a one-off. I think the quality is going to ramp up. Mostly because of the way Bob mentions that the previous one, Hell's Bells, was the last one he skips, or the one previous to that. But especially, I'm rewatching it right now, and oh man, that didgeridoo. They brought me back to when I was in that prog rock band and we had didgeridoo. Like, guys, here's a public service announcement, okay? If I could just have everybody be quiet just for a moment. Public service announcement. If you're in a band and one of the band members says, "Hey, you know it'd be really great on this song? Some didgeridoo." Run as fast as you can. Run. And don't look back. That's just
Right,
for me
but
to you.
Cowbell is
Take it
another
for what
matter
it's worth.
altogether.
Cowbell is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. This wax dummy demon is fantastic too.
My favorite was when she
Like
poured
it's
the
super-
antidote in the garbage. I was like,
Oh yeah.
oh, what, this is. That was the point where I was like, because I thought it was going to be like an episode of the week, and then as soon as she poured it out, I'm like, oh no, here we go. And then at the end, because I'm like, oh, I hope they introduce this more. I hope they show, like they show the alternate worlds again, and then at one point they reveal like in the room beside her is like a zombified like medicated Xander. And in another room beside is like a medicated Willow, and they're all in the mental institution together. And she made it up because she
that would
saw
be
them.
awesome. Oh
I
my
was
God.
like, please let this
That would
happen.
be- oh, and the head and the head of the institution is Giles.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great. But he
I'm
has
like
a
one
goatee.
of the
because
orderlies.
in alternate universes, you need someone with a goatee.
Yeah, I'm like one of the orderlies is a Spike. He comes in.
Nice.
I think it'd be great. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think it'd be wonderful if it did. That's all I have to say. Good night.
Yeah.
So, am I the only person here that found this actually kind of?
Are we working on a delay?
Oh, are we?
Do we have a delay?
I don't think so.
I'm worried we have a delay. Steph, can you hear me?
Yes.
Stephanie? Hi,
Yes.
Steph.
Steph's not saying anything because she's like.
Institution hallway scene. Yeah. I'm just trying to get her attention. Steph, is that the scene right after the opening where we see people walking down the hallway like those mental patients in the hallway? Is that the dorms or the old high school or what
It
set
looks
is
just
that?
like you see.
Does it look really
Sunnydale.
familiar? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I think it's the dorms.
Yeah.
I think it's the dorms or the hallways to the class. Sorry, Moira, I totally cut you off.
Yep.
Yeah.
The thing that got me and made me think that this might be real after I was like, this is not. Then was when after she killed the demon, punched it in the stomach, had that goop all over her hand or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They went to another scene when they're back in the institution. I'm like, if she killed it, it's done. Like, she's supposed to be back. What's going on? I'm very delighted.
Maybe not to wear off. Maybe the antidote took time to work through her system.
Maybe, because she didn't have it yet. Oh, I'm so enjoying this.
The scenes where she's going back and forth from real world to real world,
Yeah.
and she's at the fryer. I was petrified she was gonna like fall in the fryer or something.
So ridiculous. I don't know if I didn't watch the opening credits and when the episode starts, the credits, because at the same time I was doing some other stuff. So I don't know if they teased that Christine Sutherland was going to be in it. I didn't see that.
No,
They
they
mentioned
did
Kristen
they?
Sutherland, and I should not have looked.
Oh, okay, because I
No,
didn't
it's
see that
the
coming, and
anniversary
when
of
I
Lost premiering,
yeah, you should know better.
and I should know better than to look at the opening credits. My hand
'Cause
should be permanently in that position.
Yeah, because when I saw Joyce, it was like a honest to goodness like, Joyce! Like I was so happy to see her.
Yeah, me too. Even though I knew she was coming, I didn't realize the context, and then when I saw her, I was super happy. And then that deadbeat was there, and I hate him.
He's not a deadbeat in this world.
Yeah. In this world, he's awesome.
That's true.
He's part of her life.
I guess.
Oh my God! And Joyce's whole
I
monologue, I
suppose.
was like, I loved it.
How were you again?
I gotta watch it again. Like I will be watching it. It was tough because spoiler alert, as I was watching, I did a commentary. So it was tough to
Ooh.
it's tough to watch and speak at the same time because I was like, oh shit, I gotta keep talking because I think
That's the worst.
Okay, I don't know if I should spoil y'all or not. This is
No.
what.
Absolutely not.
Okay, then I won't tell you what Marty Noxon said about this episode.
Good.
Good. Tell us later.
Okay.
Can I say
Mhm.
that this episode had some really, really awesome moments for me, and one of them was I actually thought Buffy was going to kill Dawn.
Oh yeah?
I mean, how disturbing is it to watch Buffy fight the Scoobies? It's so it's just so disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of Xander, it was really funny.
I thought Tara was
thank Robin.
dead. I thought
Why?
Tara was dead briefly. Well, when
I
she
know.
fell down the stairs, I was like, "What? Is this how I get my
I was
wish?"
hoping that this is where I got my Willow sees Buffy kill Tara and never forgives her and then turns evil. But it didn't happen. Tara was alive.
Yeah.
It was really too bad.
I feel something bad's going to happen to Tara or to Willow because they keep ramping them up that they're going to get back together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this can't end well if I know my TV.
Well, well, already Willow saw Tara give that girl a kiss, so isn't everything
Oh,
over?
that was... Oh, come on. She kissed her on the cheek. Doesn't mean anything.
Was it really the cheek?
Although it was
the
very,
side lip.
very close to the lip. And I was like, what are they trying to do here?
Side lippage. It was side lippage.
Yeah, and Americans, we don't greet each other that way.
We don't do that either here. To the point where you're like...
We do that here.
Well, I think they do that in Montreal and in Quebec. But I think, like, to the point where, like, half their lips are touching, that was just... I think it was done purposely to make it look like the angle.
Yeah.
Sorry, Illyrio, I cut you off.
It's okay. I was saying I'm a freelancer. That's how I greet the mailman.
I think we are on a delay. Yep.
No, it just took me a second to get the joke.
All right, so Stephanie's on the delay. All right. This episode was so good.
It was.
And it actually made me doubt for a while.
When I started watching this episode, I was like, oh, here we go. You know, because quite honestly, the last couple of episodes have been kind of like, whatevs. It's supposed to get good soon. That's why I wasn't really paying attention when it started. And I was like, I have to go back now and watch this again. Because I want to see everything that I missed.
Do you remember, Kim, the episode of Supernatural that was a little bit like this?
Yes. Is that the one with Dean and never mind. Go ahead. Tell me.
Wasn't it a genie? And it was gonna kill him, but it made him have these hallucinations of like the perfect life.
Yeah, when he got married and all that.
Yeah.
His parents were still alive.
Yeah, that was an homage to this episode.
Oh, really? Oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Except in Supernatural, it's more concrete and it's more. It's not that, like in this one, Buffy chose. In that one, if Dean chose, then he was going to be killed.
He was going to die, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was so fantastic.
Yeah. It is brilliant.
The revelation that we get that Buffy was actually in an institution for a brief time.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting that at all.
It just makes total sense. It's just so...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the only thing that you have to suspend your disbelief about is back when Joyce found out that Buffy was the Slayer, she didn't mention that Buffy was...
put in an institution.
Yeah, for a couple of weeks. That would have...
Yeah.
Was sure to have come up then and didn't. So that's the only part that you have to say, oh, well.
Mm-hmm.
So can I interject for a second?
Please.
I just rewatched this right before we came on air because I had watched this a few weeks ago, and actually enjoyed it way more today than I did a few weeks ago because a couple weeks back when I watched it, it just took the emotional wind right out of my sails. Like for me, I was stuck on the fact that if this had been real and Buffy really were a girl with schizophrenia who'd been living in this dream world for 6 years, and who then was forced in her fantasy mind to turn against her best friends and kill them, I just thought this was the most horrendous, agonizing, painful thing ever. Like, I was so distressed watching her going after her friends. I really was. And I had the most enormous hate on for Warren. I just want him to fucking die. Because
He's an idiot, yeah.
Yes, I'm so sick of seeing him. So I ended up sad and angry, and I actually sent you guys voice feedback on this.
I have it queued up. Shall we listen to what it means?
You'll see how upset I was.
All right, let's get some feedback here from Doc Brown. So,
yeah, how indulgent.
Moira, how long ago did you say you watched it?
Like three, almost, I don't know, early September, like 2.5 weeks.
I'm turning up the volume here. It's getting queued up. Come on. Do your thing, iPad.
Well, I remember from, like, when I was in school, we did a writing course.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to write little short stories every week and then present them to the class. And I remember reading this one story because I didn't really have an out for where I was going.
Right.
So in the end, I made it like, oh, it was a dream. And then the guy wakes up and was like, oh, that was crazy. And my teacher chewed me out. He's like, this is the cheapest way to get out of a really great story. You had us hooked, and then you do something like this where you can do a complete 180. This is garbage, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay.
Keep in mind. No, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, but then I was thinking about this. I'm like, if it turns out to be all in Buffy's head, shouldn't I be angry because this is like a sin in the writing world? You shouldn't make it a dream because that's like gets everybody angry.
That's Dallas.
However, I fucking love it. I think it's fantastic.
It's because the way they integrated it makes you think, oh, this could be real because it is so insane, the world of Sunnydale.
Yeah.
Or Sunnydale.
The only way I think this could have been better is if this episode had been planned from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be.
And they had tiny little sprinklings from season 1 to now of what the hell was that? And then this big reveal would have been mind-blowing. Or if they had, maybe not done it right, it would have been like leaked before, maybe it would have happened.
Like, listening to you guys now, I can totally appreciate how much genius this is, and I enjoy it more watching it today, but when I send my feedback to you guys, it's literally the second I turn the TV off. And it is, and having never seen the show before, you get my raw, who cares what I think, but still, it's my raw truth. So it's quite raw. God, you're all raw.
Moira, I would say that we do care what you think because that's the whole point of the show. Right? First-time viewers and their first-time impressions. So technology is being a bit of a bitka today.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
One of you has some flowing air in the background. I don't know if someone has a fan on.
Oh, it's my Mac. Just a minute. It's too close to my mic. Hang on.
Is it?
Me. It's my MacBook Air. It's blowing.
Thank you.
It's
literally blowing air.
It's literally blowing air.
Changes in your layout. So let's hear, listeners and YouTube viewers. You can pretend to watch, but you can listen to what Moira's initial thoughts were immediately after watching the episode.
All right, so I just watched Normal again. This is Moira, by the way. Here's what I want to know. When is the whimsy going to come back into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series? We just lost all the joy. We've lost all the fun. This is such a sad concept in the sense that it would be horrendous if it were true. I mean, if Buffy were really some poor girl in a mental institution and all of this were her incredibly detailed delusion, this would be the most profoundly sad thing ever, because she's being forced to kill her best friends, I just watched this play out and thought, this just keeps getting sadder and sadder and sadder, and there's just nothing. There's nothing redeeming. You know how Buffy was saying in the last episode that Xander and Anya's wedding was the light at the end of her tunnel? Okay, at this point in the series, I need a light at the end of my tunnel, guys. I need something to grasp onto that's going to be positive. So I gather then that the three nerds are truly the big bad. Not all three of them, really just Andrew, Warren. God, I'm getting confused. Warren. And I want to see them gone, disintegrated, vanished from the face of Sunnydale. I'm sick of him being around. There's nothing redeeming about the rapist of Warren, and there's nothing about him that I want to continue to watch the story play out. There's nothing about it that's fun anymore. So, there. I guess I've ranted. Trying to think if there's anything positive in this whole episode. Not really. We watched little Donnie's heartbreak. We watched William/Spike, get up with Buffy. Anyway, the only I've got one thing. The positive thing, Xander realizes that he made a colossal, stupid boob move when he dumped Anya at the altar. That's about it. Okay, rant over. Ugh.
I was not a happy camper.
Ugh.
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 Yeah.
Rant over. Ugh.
Yeah.
Rant.
Sorry.
I totally get that.
Hey,
I totally get that. Sorry, Lyra. Go ahead.
I'm gonna play Ian's voicemail. Is that cool with you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
We haven't heard from
Absolutely
Ian.
not. Sorry, go ahead.
Whoa.
Go ahead. What are you going to say?
Hi, before I get started on my feedback for Normal again, I want to explain why I haven't sent feedback for a lot of seasons. And it's just that there's so many other voices out there on the problems of mid-season 6 that I did want to add my voice to it. Because although there are some good parts of it, it's eventually worth it. And you just got to get to the end of season 6 and see how it works as a whole, how those episodes are in the end worth it. Anyway, Normal again. And this episode, well, I do love it. I do really like it. But it's always very difficult to watch, and I just couldn't watch it again before sending feedback into you. There are other examples of this type of episode a lot since this was made, and you just can't buy the fake out anymore, and you don't want to buy the fake out anyway, because Buffy is such a hero. And I think despite the fact that it's so well made, and despite the fact that Sarah Michelle Gellar is actually really good in this, not to say she's not always good, but in this especially so,
I would say she is.
I find these sorts of episodes, you can't buy it anymore, as I said, because it's such a cliche now that the world you thought was real isn't real, but it is real now. So, that's my feedback for this episode. Not much, I know, but really, you've got the end of the season to look forward to, and you need this. You kind of need this point where Buffy has gone through so much that she's ready for the end of the season. That's all I can really say. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Ian.
Bye.
Thank you, Ian.
Cryptic.
So, okay, he's saying that this is a cliche now. Is he saying, did y'all understand it to be that he's saying that we've seen this before since Buffy?
Yeah, I see what he's saying. I don't think he meant at the time when it came out it was a cliche, but now so many shows after Buffy have done this.
Yeah.
And I totally agree, because some of my favorite episodes on other TV shows was when they have the alternate universe episodes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Heroes. That was probably my
Why do you think I wear
favorite
this
episode.
goatee, folks? I wear this goatee in
this
honor
world.
of the greatest alternate universe episode in the history of television, which is Star Trek's Mirror Mirror.
Uh-huh.
I'm evil Spock.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are evil Spock.
Oh, and I stopped Ian, found out he is from
Your agonizer, please.
what?
Sorry, Steph, he's from where?
I stalked Ian, and he is from the other Birmingham. He's from.
Cool.
Sorry, Ian.
It's from Birmingham, England.
Birmingham, England.
Birmingham.
Like Duran
Going round to
Duran.
have a curry.
So can I just check back in with you people? So then, was I truly the only one that felt at all sad by this? Like, am I just very odd?
Oh yeah, it's just it's disturbing.
Oh, really? Oh.
I felt every emotion. Watching it, I was sad, but I was happy that I was sad, because I was like, we've got a show again. We've got something to talk about.
Yes, and I do get that, because it really was brilliant. I mean, I understand, and like I say, looking at it again today, I could pick out of it more little bits and pieces that I liked that weren't about the overriding concept of a tortured mind.
Yeah. Because when you talk about, like, sad, I was mostly sad for Buffy's parents. Because if this other world does exist, they've been hovering over her for 6 years to snap out of it. Like,
I know.
Yes, how does that?
It's agonizing, right?
Yes.
And then that, we see we see Joyce again, and we, she could have her mother back if she decided.
Yes. And a father that's not a deadbeat.
Yeah.
And then the thing that pissed me off about Dawn was the one scene we have with her. It becomes all about Dawn. Oh, and I wasn't even in your other universe. I just wanted to smack her. I thought, this is not about you right now.
I hate her more than ever.
Oh, God. Anyway.
Wow.
I'm not even in your other alternate universe. Me.
You'd rather have a life where you were catatonic in an insane asylum because you don't want to be with me.
Exactly.
Oh my God, what a jackass.
Funny that Xander got whacked with a frying pan given last episode, that he supposedly was going to whack Anya with a frying pan in the future.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I hate Xander Harris and don't even care.
Yep.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Oh my God.
Testify, Gabby. Testify.
Oh my God. What's funny about this episode to me is I had been told by somebody that they didn't think that I was going to like this episode at all. And for the life of me, I was trying to figure out why as I started watching it. And, I see the Three Stooges, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, this is going to be more of these guys. And then shit got real or not. I don't know. with the going back and forth. And little part, like, I'm not even kidding you, like sitting on instead of laying there half asleep on the couch, I was actually sitting upright on the edge of it, just like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? And I'm texting Tammy, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. I'm like freaking out, like live tweeting basically, but live texting to Tammy about it. And I just was so in love with it. And then there's a little thing at the very, very, very end when Buffy goes catatonic, it reminded me so much of one of my favorite movies, Sucker Punch. In this one particular scene at the very, very, very end, before a lobotomy happens, there's this just little flash, and that totally reminded me of that. It was spooky, and I loved it. I loved this episode so much. And what scares me is that this is it. this is it. I love this episode, and now it's over, and they're all going to be downhill from here.
No, they won't, though, because everybody's implying to us that it's only going to ramp up and get better.
But
I'm
liked
hopeful.
this. But I liked this so much, and I want to see more. And I'm like, you know what? It's not going to happen.
No,
This
it's
is
not.
it. This is a one-off thing, and this is over, and it's all downhill for me.
No.
I'm
But how
scared that's
how depressing would it be if like this was the finale?
Oh, that would have been the best finale ever to me.
And then
I would be catatonic.
it ends with Buffy's head leaning against the side of her padded room.
Oh, I would love
And
it.
everyone crying. Like, how depressing would that be? They can't have this on the
Well-
WB. It's not going to end like this.
This, well, it had already moved to UPN, right?
So stuff on the UPN can end like this. It's cool.
Or the CW, whatever it is at this time.
Regardless, that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. But may I point my finger of the what endings to a show known as Saint Elsewhere,
Yes.
where we found out that the entirety of this series was in the mind of a
Don't
mentally
tell me!
challenged child.
Snow globe. Snow globe.
What if I want to watch that show
A
now?
little bending.
Spoiler alert.
Well, it does have a young Mark Harmon and a very young and fit Denzel Washington.
How crazy is that?
It's on the list of the most memorable finales ever that they play every year at finale time.
Yeah.
Just saying. Oh God, it would have been
So,
for me. It
yeah,
would
that
have
would've
been the
been a really good ending.
best.
I gotta say, this episode is not perfect for me because of the lack of a Tara death or a Dawn death, but especially Tara. This is
Yeah.
a perfect moment. No, guys, not for having the character die, because I'm not that much of a monster, even though
that's
she's
me.
a fictional character and I can wish her death as many times as I wish. But for the impetus to drive Willow mad and to have her go insane herself and become evil.
I still think Kimberly's
That's what I'm
got something
talking
there. Earlier, when she said she thinks all these hints about the relationship between Tara and Willow are leading us to think they're going to get back together, and so something disastrous is bound to happen. Probably.
Oh, yeah.
To
Well,
Shira,
that was
right?
supposed to be it.
A reason to have vengeance or whatever. That's what I'm still hoping for. I'm still holding out hope.
For death
I want
and
evil
vengeance.
Willow so badly. I really do.
We're such horrible people.
Yes.
We're hoping for death and vengeance.
Yes.
I'm not hoping for it. I'm not hoping for it. I just feel it's coming because that's a trend, especially in this show.
I think that I'm not hoping for it. I'm hoping for it. Because I think that one episode in the
I
alternate.
have $50 writing on this, so you know.
Remember Leatherclad Willow in the other badass world? Whatever episode that was.
Another
Yes.
alternate world, see?
Yeah, that's an awesome
The
Willow.
Wish.
Yeah, so I want to see more of that. Anyway, we'll see.
I'm going to read, let's see what wise and witty things Rachel Horn has to say. Spoilers, blah, blah, normal again. So the geek fandom is totally divided on this episode. Some may say that this episode is a ripoff of Star Trek or every sci-fi show ever, and some may argue quite vehemently that the ending is total bullshit and it undermines everything that we have witnessed Buffy go through, fight through, survive through. So here's my take. Buffy season 1 through 6 is real. She is the chosen one, fought the Master, stabbed Angel, fought Faith, survived high school, dealt with Riley, sacrificed herself to save Dawn, danced for Sweet, effed Spike, and now is living. This episode is a
Very, very nice.
Oh my God.
That was perfect.
The delay is hilarious. Okay. This episode is wonderful beyond words because she chooses to live in this crappy world. Dead mother, delinquent dad, dead lover, addict best friend, other friend who leaves fiancé at altar, make-believe needy klepto sister-in-law. She has the choice to stop the pain, to choose easy, to have her mom and dad back, to be happy, but she chooses life. Whatever you take from this episode, take this. All of the sacrifices throughout the series, Buffy choosing this crappy existence of season 6 over the easy out of the alternate world is the biggest sacrifice you will ever see from her. It hurts. Also, the last scene pisses people off. Dudes, the drugs need time to work. 10 out of 10 Joy says. Rachel Normal again, Horn. That was wise and weedy. Yep.
I'm going to read an email from Fry, because Fry, if ever you accidentally fall into a cryogenic tube and wake up 3,000 years in the future, you have the perfect name. Shit. Love it or hate it, this episode is like my 11th favorite episode. Do you think it's all in your head? I hope not all of you agree. It will make the discussion more interesting. It's hard to talk about this episode without spoiling you guys. I have heard people say that it isn't all in her head because the show Angel is proof, but one thing people are forgetting is she's crazy. She might think she's two people or something. Yes, it's a cliche. Yes, it's been done before, but I love this episode. I have seen Home, Hush, Blink, etc. This is the only episode of TV that I have seen in recent years that truly terrifies me. It is an entirely unenjoyable episode, but you know what? That's the point. I love the end. I love the tone. I love the episode. 10 out of 10, hopefully awesome discussions. Thank you, Fry.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe the reason it freaks me out so much is because when you talk to somebody who really has had delusions like this, and you realize that in that moment those things are completely real for them. It just, I think that's why it was killing me so much, because I thought, oh, if this were really a girl in an institution, and you know she's been away from her real world for 6 years, it's just so sad.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think what makes it not painful, but like polarizing, is that the alternate world that we were introduced to in this episode is more realistic than the actual show. You know? So you're like, well, duh, of course.
Like, so
yes, when the doctor does his whole exposition and explaining, you know, like I think Gabby alluded to, you know, the role of Dawn and why she created her, and you sit there and you think, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It's easy to buy. It's easier to buy that than a show about a girl that's crazy, and she finds out that she really has been slaying vampires, and it's like, all right. Yeah.
And it's also what we have kind of been bitching about the whole time. That couldn't happen. Oh, come on. SOD, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's like the writer says, yes, this is a ridiculous premise.
Oh, it's amazing.
I think it's the writer's big middle finger to everyone who was making fun of the show, or like, oh, this is so ridiculous. I think it's brilliant. I love it.
I think it was the writer's middle finger to us, because they have a time machine and they know how we feel. That's what I want to believe. You know, my little delusional world.
It's funny. I don't feel like it's a ripoff of what Star Trek did, because it has its own unique little twist. Because it's built on 6 years of history. You know, like there's so much detail in Buffy's quote-unquote delusion, and when they keep explaining away every aspect of it, it just makes your little heart sink more and more and more. And so in a way it has a lot more layering and believability to it if it were a delusion, because some delusions are incredibly complex. Like seriously, there are people who have delusions that are this complicated. So yeah, it was amazing. Anyway, wow. What about Spike, you guys? Spike with his little line, if you don't tell your friends, I'm going to.
Yeah, because it's over now, so why even bring it up to the Scoobies?
Well,
Oh, it's never over.
exactly. I don't think Spike really believes it yet.
He probably
I don't
thinks they're
think.
on a break.
This is an episode of Friends.
Yep. Yeah, Buffy and Spike are the Ross and Rachel of
Yes.
the multiverse.
Oh my God, they're gonna have a baby together.
Oh my God! They're gonna find a sweater that may or may not have belonged to Spike. We don't know.
Oh my
Or
god.
somebody from Double Meat Palace.
Oh my gosh.
I'm convinced.
Spike's gonna marry someone else, but he's gonna say, "I take you, Buffy." Right?
Oh my God!
Spoilers, guys.
Oh my God.
Illyria's never watched Friends. He doesn't know.
Has he? What?
I don't think he's
Valerio, you've watched Friends,
What?
right?
Oh.
Yeah, I've watched the
Oh,
show with no
okay.
black people on it.
Hey, Aisha Tyler was on it, and she dated both Ross and
Yes.
Joey.
Mhm.
On that show. Well, Spikey, we'll see. I want to see whether he's going to make.
I want to I
Do
want
what?
to mention the part 2 of a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode called Chain of Command. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
Nope.
Not at
You're
all.
probably more familiar with the meme. There are 4 lights.
Nope.
Nope.
It's where Jean-Luc Picard is captured and tortured, and part of the torture is he's continuously asked how many lights are there, and there are 4 lights, but they keep telling him no, there are 5, and then they keep torturing him. And it's basically kind of it's inspired, if not plagiarized, from 1984 by George Orwell.
Mhm.
And at the very, very end of the episode, when he's released and rescued, Picard actually relents and says that there are 5 lights when he's been adamant that there are 4. And that's the same feeling I had when I watched Buffy make her choice to go to the world that's difficult, to go to the world that's full of craziness and demons, and where she has this unrelenting duty, where as much as I'd love to be here, as much as I'd love to live this life, which would be order of magnitudes easier than the one I'm actually living, where my mom is alive, where my father isn't someone I hate, where I don't have an annoying sister I invented, where I don't have to deal with other people's shit all the time and have to put my stuff on the back burner. I can't even tell my friends that I'm stopping a vampire.
Or vampires.
I choose the difficult life. I choose the difficult life, and it's interesting to me how she's so broken at the end. You know, last scene with her, when she's in the corner, that it's an empty shell of herself. And so for me, it does make sense that they show us that at the end, where it's not, "Ooh, guys, it's real. She's catatonic again." It's that version of Buffy is no more, and it's broken, and it's no longer. That's no longer going to happen. That's no longer going to be an avenue. And
I would like to see
possibility that could have ever happened is the thing, right? So maybe that was an alternate universe.
I would like to see that door be open and stay open for the remainder of the series. I would like her to know. I'd like the audience to know that it exists as well.
Well, he says that she had a momentary break where when she died, she came back. I can't even explain what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
He said when she died and was in heaven, he explains that as being actually in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe there's a chance.
Claiming that her friends pulled her out of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that bitch Willow.
And of course, it just the more they explain, the more this doctor explains it, the more it's like, of course.
Yeah,
You know?
I know.
That's what's so amazing and what's the other word? Like amazing and frustrating, I think.
Yeah,
Mm.
Tammy was telling me she was trying to she and Brad were trying to find an article for me, but I guess the gist of the article was they were just kind of playing devil's advocate of, well, Buffy's alternate world where she was in an asylum kind of makes sense if you go back to Ted, where he threatens to put her away. And
Mm-hmm.
like if you jump from, and then if that stop, like if he puts her away from there, everything in between Ted and this particular episode is just all fantasy.
I think that's kind of
Mm.
convenient
Mm-hmm.
for the article's sake because I personally, I don't know, but I personally want to think that the concept of this episode came well after season 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, you know?
I just thought that was kind of an I'm like, oh,
I
that's
agree.
kind of interesting. I never would have put that together.
Steph,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
the actor who plays the Doctor, have we seen him before? He looks familiar.
Mm-mm.
I just thought maybe he was
No.
someone who played
He's just
someone else, and then they brought him back.
no. I think he was in like Hill Street Blues, stuff like that.
Okay, never mind. Which I watched until that cop threw that kid off the roof, and then I was traumatized.
Oh.
Spoilers, man! Jeez!
Kids, watch
Not
out!
that I'm gonna watch it.
Parents, watch out what your kids watch at night, okay? That's all I'm gonna say.
Be careful out there.
Hey, we have an email from Missy.
Missy Pooh!
Hi, Gax, Joyce, and Hank Summers. I'm always thankful that they could get Dean Butler back for his appearances, and how great it was to see Christine again. Willow is really jumping to some conclusions with that whole Tara was seeing someone else stuff. Lols. Xander's back, my poor sweet Xander. Warren and Andrew are keeping Jonathan in the dark, which I'm sure will end well for everyone involved, because how could it not, right?
Opinion
I'm not sure why,
spoilers.
because it makes sense, kinda, but fans were really annoyed with the apparent retcon regarding Buffy had been in a clinic in the past. Spike and Xander together are like the best buddy cop team ever! A few episodes ago, Illyrio mentioned that Dawn was taller than Buffy, and all I could think about was this scene, when Buffy says, I should be taller than you. Spike really chews Buffy out. I think he's trying to help her. I think. But it's so hard to tell through all that bitterness. So Buffy's death at the end of season 5 was her escaping the Sunnydale illusion. I like that idea more than I should. Ha! Buffy attacks and locks up all her friends in the basement, and ironically, Xander gets a frying pan to the face this episode. The universe's way of making things right. The final scene in the asylum is so compelling and thought-provoking. It's the cherry on top of this amazing episode that I adore so much. From Simone. Thank you, Simone!
Okay, yeah, Spike is not
We had
acting.
another... Go ahead, Steph.
Sorry, I was just saying, Spike is not acting the way he was being so mature in Hell's Bells, and in this episode, he's just so bitter. I just don't know what changed. What happened?
Maybe he had time to let stuff sink in more, I guess.
Or maybe he's Spike?
Yeah.
Maybe he
Yeah,
was
this is
technically
more
an
like
evil
how-
demon. On the
Yeah, how we expected him to behave.
Yeah, I don't think he'll let it go
Yeah,
because
another-
he's going to be alive forever. So that's not going to be like, he's not just going to forget it.
Immortality's not all it's cracked up to be.
Especially when you like to hold
Oh,
grudges.
it would be the worst.
Wow.
I think it would be the worst. Just the absolute worst. Ugh, nothing to look forward to. We had another email from Brent. It's not episode specific. Brent, just to answer your question, and if anybody else is wondering, we don't talk about it very often. Redemption Cast is not done. It hasn't pod faded. It's on hiatus so that we can focus on Buffy while Robin focuses on Intro to X.
Oh, snap.
Oh God.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, I can't stop.
You're being very immature, Gabby.
I know, I'm a jerk.
But yeah, we want
So,
to speed through Buffy and so we can focus
let's
everything on it.
talk about these geeks. Shall we talk about these geeks?
No.
The rapist Warren and his friends, yes.
So,
I didn't want to forget that they were in this episode.
yeah. So, Jonathan is not being filled in on what's going on,
Nope.
and that's a very interesting thing.
So it makes me think now Jonathan's going to turn on those two guys to save the day. When we thought it was going to be Jonathan and Andrew, what's his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? I just... I know they're going to serve a purpose soon, and I just want it to be done with so we can get rid of these guys for good.
Agreed.
Sorry, Jonathan. I know everyone loves Jonathan.
No.
We're 5 episodes away from the finale. I think these geeks are sticking around for this season at least.
Yeah. I hope they don't trickle into next season. You know?
Oh yeah, that would no. Let's get rid of them this season. Yes, please.
Yeah.
I'm not interested at all. At all.
Which is a shame,
Yeah,
because
I
I'm
think
sure they're
Jonathan's
really
gonna
nice
come on.
guys.
No, Warren's an asshole.
No, I mean in real life.
They're
I'm
just
sure
a
they're
little
nice
bit
guys.
rapey.
Yes, indeed, probably.
They're just a little bit rapey.
Yeah.
Just a touch.
Yeah.
Don't use that word.
What, a little bit rapey, a touch?
No, the word touch. Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I did not expect her to dump the antidote in the trash. I think we can all blame Spike for this. But
Why?
when she dumped it in the trash, because he's the one that kept teasing her and giving her a hard time. It was totally Spike's fault that she dumped the antidote in the trash.
No, I think it's the poison in her system's fault that she dumped the antidote in the trash.
No, it was immediately after the conversation they had in her room where he was.
I
being
thought it was her
such a
mother's
mean
fault that
jerk
she dumped
face.
it in the trash.
Yeah, I thought it was her mother
Yeah.
and seeing the
Yeah,
alternate
like-
world.
Yeah, exactly.
Her mother's monologue.
It's Dawn's fault because she really doesn't want to be around
Interesting.
Dawn. Dawn's right.
Everything's Dawn's fault.
All right.
It's all about Dawn. Dawn,
You convinced
Dawn.
me. I agree. I agree with Gabby. It's all Dawn's fault.
Marsha.
Dawn, Dawn,
God.
How about Facebook feedback?
Yes.
Dawn.
Illyrio, I
Let
think
me
you're the
pull
one
that
on
up
delay.
right now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Listen, I don't know what's going on, but clearly there's a delay. I'm trying to work through it. The problem is, I think it's the only way that we can get the audio to work properly is if there's a stupid delay. 'Cause if
I agree.
change stuff in the audio, it's just gonna, there's gonna be echo. It's gonna be annoying, and I don't want that to happen. So
Good call.
I'm gonna go to Robin's thing and let 34 comments. Let's do this.
Someone remind me I
By the
just
way,
turned the
I
stove
just
on,
gotta
okay?
say,
Okay,
Oh,
Jim.
God, again.
Got it. When would you like that?
by the way, I do think
In about 4 minutes.
Got it. I'll
I do
get
think
on my
that
phone
we are
right
the
now.
only intro cast.
The
Sorry.
only intro cast at what?
I do believe we're the only intro cast who reads all of its Facebook feedback. So, Gabby says, "F that guy." Dylan says, "My minor observations for this episode: Why ring the doorbell when you're just going to walk yourself then anyway? And once again, Dawn just made it all about her, and so did Spike. No wonder Buffy's so quick to check out. The whole institution side of the episode is just one big info dump. Hell, most of the episode was exposition. That's what this episode was about, a recap. I don't dislike this episode, but every time I rewatch, it just bores me. Plus the whole it's all in your head trope. It's kind of meh. Bob says, finally I can start watching Buffy again. That's my favorite show. I would have no listeners left. There are fans that absolutely hate the thought of their beloved Sunnydale not being real, but I like this episode. I'm a complete sucker for alternate reality episodes, and it was great to see Joyce again. I also am one of the few that like the trio, and the didgeridoo of evil was a nice little touch. All the meta commentaries this episode makes about the characters, the entire series, and the fans, but of course I can't quote any of them. I'm sure you guys will have a field day with that. While I'm sure most people were delighted with Buffy taping Dawn's mouth shut, I was even happier with her. Patrick says, so it turns out Buffy's secretly a 12-year-old autistic boy with a snow globe or something. Yes, Patrick! Like that. Tammy says, this is my favorite episode of Buffy. When I watched it live, I was speechless afterwards. I do not usually care for open-ended endings, but this worked hardcore for me. Now when I do rewatches, I have in the back of my head, I wonder what she is telling the doctors at the asylum. I think it was on the Slayerettes podcast, but they discussed somebody's headcanon that Buffy has been in the asylum since the episode Ted, as he had threatened to put her in a mental institution for writing about being a Slayer. Obviously, the show was not written for this, but I am in love with that theory. Can't wait to hear the discussion about this episode. Garland says, I'm all on board with this one till that ridiculous last scene. It was all a dream. Is my least favorite TV trope. May as well be an evil twin from a soap opera or something. Ugh, sours the whole thing. And Dawn, holy whining Batman. Holy whining Batman. How is she still just the worst? But still, ugh.
Still just the
Heidi adds, I love this episode. I've seen a lot of What If episodes on television, and I feel this is one of the most well done. I'm still not positive that the reality we know is the true reality. There is a reason for everything in the mental institution, and it just works. Love seeing Joyce. I really enjoy episodes that make me think, and this one does that for me. Rich says, by the way, nice mustache, Rich. Rich says, first time around, this was one of my favorites of the series. Still is. The last scene seems kind of wonky, but I think that's just the writers paying homage to the classic shows that have done this before them. I don't take it too seriously. But the psychology of this episode is beautiful and introspective, and I really like the episodes that make me think. This is in the top tier of those. Val says, that was one funky-looking demon that poked Buffy in the arm. Not one of the better-looking demons for sure. Joyce!
Have we seen this demon before?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Well, Spike has, but we haven't.
Yeah.
Kimberly, you're at 3 minutes.
But Spike gets around.
Thank you. I'm hovering.
Boyle watch. So Val says, that was what, Joyce, and there's Deadbeat Hank too. I really enjoyed this one and don't have a problem with it at all, but I know some fans hated on it, as Bob DeGrand noted. Rachel Horn and I have a friend who practically has cartoon steam coming out of her ears at the mere mention of the title. It pisses her off that much. I laugh every time Buffy whacks Xander with a frying pan. It was so unexpected. Kind of ironic that in Hell's Bells we see not real future Xander going after Anya with a frying pan, and this ep we see him get hit clunked with one. I love how Buffy was stalking Dawn. No way the Shrieker was getting away. Wish we could have did to Willow to get her in the basement too. Nitpick. Every time I see this episode, I always think, come on, Willow and Dawn, you work together to get yourself untied, couldn't you? 8 out of 10 frying pans to the head. Taylor wants us to know, I love this episode! The show gets to go meta with Season 6, gets to acknowledge a lot of complaints that people were having as it aired via the Doctor, and we get Joyce! I also really like that Buffy has to choose which reality to live in. Much like Gone, Buffy makes the decision to live. Hospital world must be pretty close to heaven. Mother and father, no Slayer responsibilities and no financial responsibilities. But again, Buffy chooses Sunnydale. Buffy chooses her friends, and Buffy chooses her responsibilities. I find this episode very powerful, and I even like the end scene. 9 out of 10 frying pans upside the head. Sylvia says, I pretty much agree with the majority. Love this episode, love the entire concept and the way it's executed. Yes, even the end scene. This episode is the beginning of why I think many fans consider Season 6 their favorite, and it's that old adage of it's not how you start, but how you finish. Robin says, let my praise for this episode ring out as loudly as a frying pan to Xander's head. I could go over all the points of greatness, but I just want to point out the scene where Buffy tells Joyce she's letting go. It's at this point that I really buy into the idea that this may be cold, hard reality. There was nothing sinister about that mental hospital, no hint that it may be some sort of demonic influence. When that exchange happens, I actually feel terrible for Joyce. Me too. I'd have to say that that's exactly the same way I felt that when Buffy decides to go back to her real world, the effect that this has on Joyce, regardless whether she's pretend or not, totally hit me hard. They really did.
Yeah.
Buffy just needs to find her constant, and then everything will go back. Right?
Not Penny's mom. Not Penny's mom.
Because Joyce is the only one that exists in both worlds. Right?
Well, the dad does too, technically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the dad once.
And the nurse is also her manager at the Mr. Clucks.
Is
it? I thought they changed the actress. It was different.
Yeah, it was two different people.
It was two different people. Yeah.
Really? Oh, then they missed their chance, no?
Because
then it would have been obvious.
Yeah, one had brown hair and one had
it wouldn't have been obvious.
blonde hair.
No, never mind.
Yeah.
Let's continue with Robin's comment here. I actually feel terrible for Joyce, who gets her daughter back after 6 years and then loses her all over again. We see Buffy come out of it, or go back into it, and defeat the demon, but then we get just an amazingly haunting ending that deserved a Rod Serling voiceover. Picture, if you will, a girl whose inner demons materialize in her dreams, whose need for family creates imaginary friends, and a sister who never was, a helpless girl with power she can possess only in her own mind, a girl whose mind is somewhere in the deepest regions of the Twilight Zone. This is not only a huge highlight for the season, but also for the series to me. 10 out of 10 Buffy's flying over a cuckoo's nest. Hashtag where is Anya?
Yeah, where is Anya?
Val says, I don't know. Val says, Robin, I too love that ending scene with Buffy and Joyce. It might be my favorite scene along with Xander getting frying panned. I especially thought Geller's acting was a highlight. She's so amazing with her tear-filled eyes, and even that simple little last word she utters was very powerful, the way it was delivered. On a lighter note, I don't know which antidote was worse. The beaker of antifreeze Angel gave Buffy in earshot, or the mug of brown goop Willow gave her. Sylvia says, I would say it's a toss-up on the gross antidote front. Yuck. Bruce says, welcome back, Joyce and Hank! I don't like the retcon, but just about everything else is brilliant. Last episode, a demon created drama by playing around with Xander's biggest fear. Now it's Buffy's turn. Xander ran from his fear, which left Anya with her own choice to make, and Anya's is the closer parallel with Buffy's. What the Hoffman and Joyce are pushing for is a step back to what Buffy and Anya wanted after they arrived in Sunnydale. Buffy begged Giles to leave her alone and just be a normal person. Anya didn't want to be a person at all and pleaded with the Hoffman to make her a demon again. We don't know Anya's answer yet, but Buffy chose not to go back. You have to go back, Kate!
Again, one of my favorite episodes.
Yes.
That's the alternate universe episodes. Love it. Sorry, go on.
That was the finale of season 4, right?
3.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still figuring out season 6, so does anyone know if Buffy's decision is predicated on anything that happens in the asylum? Is there anything that lets her know what's real? I'm starting to think that her decision is all internal. Buffy has learned that life isn't bliss, and that the hardest thing in this world is to live in it. Or maybe she just thought the doctor was a quack. Is that type of treatment convincing the psychotic patient and killing people is the best way to feel better? Yeah, can we talk about that? We have a doctor on our podcast. Dr. Brown, do you think that counseling someone to kill their imaginary friends is a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it is a bad idea because
All right.
when people have their imaginary construct, as I said earlier, for them that's real. And so anything you ask them, in theory, to do within that construct, they would have real feelings about. So why in hell would you ever ask somebody to kill their best friend?
I don't know. I don't think he asked her to. I think he just said get rid of them.
Well, okay, but still.
So do you indulge in their delusions?
No, because in reality, when you're talking to somebody who has delusions, you don't argue with them, but you don't really buy into it either. It's a bit like talking to an Alzheimer's patient. You don't try to convince them that they're wrong, but you don't become part of that world either.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
You just...
Because what would happen to her if she say she interpreted it as killing them, right?
Mm-hmm.
When she bounces back into reality, she'll still harbor those feelings of, oh my god, I'm a murderer.
Well, I don't know if it's so much that. I think it's more that if you... I think that if you're trying to talk to somebody as if their delusional reality is reality, you're not helping them any. That's part of it too. It's serves a purpose. And the reality is when people get treated and they come away from their delusional state, they can look at you and say, wow, that was crazy. Like they're able after the fact to tell you that they can appreciate how far away they were from reality, but in the moment when they're there, it's real for them.
Mm.
Yeah. So no, I wouldn't play into it, and I also wouldn't ask them to do something that if you were asking it of a person in real life would be emotionally detrimental to them.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Yeah, but the other thing that, of course, is completely unrealistic about their premise that she's, well, to be fair, I guess you really can be in a catatonic state for a long time and truly not communicate at all, but I would argue that's extremely rare. Like, really rare. In schizophrenia, I mean. Like, most people, that's not the case.
So interesting.
Mm.
All right, I got Ray's
My phone died,
feedback.
so someone else pick up reading.
Okay. Ray says, I'm conflicted about this episode. There are things I really like, but overall I don't feel like it totally worked. First things first, though, and that is that SMG is really, really great in this one, and it's a lot of fun to see Joyce and Hank again. But the biggest problem for me is the ambiguous ending. By leaving it up to the viewer to decide if the whole show is just a crazy girl's mind or if it's real, just ends up devaluing the stuff we see going forward and the whole series, really, because nothing we see really matters if the whole show didn't actually
It's
happen.
a dream. Exactly.
To me, they were trying to do something high concept, and it just ended up not quite working out. Now, if you take away that ending, I feel like this is actually a very good hour of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The flashing between Sunnydale and the Asylum is a clever way of shining a light on just how crazy the whole series sounds when you say it out loud. Very meta, but in a cool way, and I actually felt a lot of tension during the climax. So while I overall really enjoy this one and think it's really good, I just can't help but feel like they would have been better off clearly telling the audience that the asylum was fake rather than leaving it up in the air. Okay, Ray. There are two kinds of people in this world. There are people who want
here we go.
Their television table, forced, they're spooned to them, and it all just makes perfect sense, and it's all explained and wrapped up in a box. And there's some people who like to think, like, I can see this episode in two different ways. I can see that it's both, and it can be either one at the same time.
Yes. That's the brilliance of it, is that it can be both.
Yes. How would it have ended if they didn't do this? It needed that hook of leaving it up in the air. It just wouldn't have worked any other way. It would have been lame. Robin Burge says, the ending is what makes this episode stand out in my humble opinion. It's ballsy and I love it. Ray says, but don't you think that it kind of devalues the whole series by saying that the whole show didn't happen? No, because it's leaving it up to you. What do you think? It can be one or the other, and it can be both at the same time.
Yeah.
They are downplaying their own show and telling fans in a way that it doesn't matter that much because it's not real. I get what they're going for, but it just doesn't work for me. But I do think that the episode overall is really good in general. They should be trying to make the things that happen on the show more important to the viewer, not less. It's not that it's not important, it's just...
Yeah. I think he's latching on to it was all a dream.
Mm-hmm. Garland says exactly. It cheapens the message in the show that purports to be the way to process really heavy and important themes, all the way from high school is hell to death of the parent and the pain of the mundane stuff afterwards that makes you realize how life goes on through metaphor. It's practically a video of the writers patting themselves on the back and being giddy over how clever they are. What's the metaphor here? 1 out of 10 slaps to the fan's face.
Oh, wow.
No. Robin says it takes a lot of what-if scenarios, and I take it as a what-if scenario. Okay, Robin says, I take it as a what-if scenario, and I think these self-aggrandizing writers you speak of intended it to be that way. I don't think it devalues the show at all. It elevates it. Tammy says, I think the world is about to collapse, Robin. Robin Burge and I agree on a TV show.
The world is ending!
Okay, so Kim, you just finished watching it. You loved it. Kim says, we're creeping into innocence territory with how much I enjoyed this episode. Simone says, I have hopes this means you're really going to dig the last 5 episodes. Robin says, it's all in the mental hospital, spoilers. And Bruce says, crap. Bruce says, you mean the world isn't a mental hospital? Kim says, I think I might be a sucker for alternate realities. Ray says, I'm not saying that I dislike the episode because I do like it, but I just think the writers are trying for something at the end that could cheapen the series if you choose to look at it that way. Robin, I do take it as a kind of one-off what-if scenario, so it doesn't bother me all that much, but I just feel like telling the viewers that the show might not exist at all is a little...
I totally understand what Ray's saying. I get his point, but the point is that it's both, Yeah. You can't latch onto one or the other because there's a very good possibility it could be either. And the fact that they're not telling us is what makes it better, because they're not saying that it is a dream or that she is in a mental institution. That's up to you. Right? Is that right?
That's what I say.
Yeah.
Bruce says Buffy has finally dealt with a problem and is leaving it behind, and it fits the episode nicely. Tio says if the show was from Buffy's point of view, I would believe that ending, but it's clear that the show is not only about Buffy's experience, it's central but not the only and main issue. Like most of you here, I love the alternate reality that we see in this episode, and I really feel for Buffy in this episode. Well, this whole season, actually. 9 out of 10, 50 Shades of Buffy's bondage for the whole family. Not my Christian.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm just so glad that we have an episode to talk about that's good.
Yes.
And that we're not all like, oh, when's it gonna get better? Sorry? Sorry, Illyrio.
I'd forgotten what that was like.
I mean, granted, I wasn't here for the conversation, but the last episode wasn't a bad episode. It just filled me with hate and rage and made me want to bitch slap dudes. Basically.
Agreed. But
it was good.
we were faced with quite a few disappointing ones this year.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All of them. Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
To me.
Mm-hmm. I have no more points.
Okay.
Neither do I.
Done.
Should we rate or quote? What do we do first? I forget. It's been too long.
We do ratings.
Rate. Next time.
All right.
Next time, and then quotes.
We do ratings. We tell people how they can reach us, and then we do quotes, and then we talk about next time, and then we blow this pop stand.
And go watch Gotham.
I can't, honestly,
I still have to watch the rest of Doctor Who.
Doctor what? What's a Doctor Who?
God.
Doctor Who?
Never get
Doctor Who? I honestly thought the Doctor's name was Who. Anyways, I know nothing about the show.
So did I for the longest time, Kimberly.
Well,
don't feel bad.
Okay.
Kimberly, in the original series, the credits actually did list the actors who played the Doctor as Doctor Who in the credits, so you're not too far off.
Okay, Gotham. Well, I can talk about Buffy, and I can say that this episode brought me back. I love this episode. Just after my initial reaction watching it, because, like I was saying earlier, we're not supposed to like the episodes when it's a dream. We're supposed to be angry. But the way that it came about and it was revealed, because the more and more we were in this asylum, the more it made sense. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that is so right. That's right. And I was like torn between, I'm like, is this for real? Like, they're not really doing this, right? No, they can't. I was having that inner monologue with myself. I loved it. Like I said, it was approaching innocence territory. I'm going to give this 9.99999 out of 10 padded rooms. I loved it.
Whoa.
So why not a 10?
Because Innocence is still my favorite, and I can't give it a perfect 10.
All right.
Actually, what did I give? Didn't I give Innocence an 11? So maybe I will give this a 10. I'm just going to say, this is fantastic. I've not liked the episode of the show in so long. I loved it.
Awesome.
Mic drop. Next.
You've been so thirsty for goodness, you guys. You've been thirsty for this. Yeah.
I want to know what Gabby's going to give it. Seriously.
Wow. Am I that much of a wild card?
No, because when you're harsh, you're harsh. But when you like an episode, the way you gush about it is just like, yes.
Well, if you must know, I would almost deduct points for the fact that the 3 were involved, except the rest of it was so fucking amazing that I forgot about them. I completely 100% forgot about them. And I was into this episode, and I loved every minute, and I loved the darkness, and I wanted it to keep going, and I wanted her to be crazy. And but at the same time, like I said before, I'm so scared. I'm like, that this is it, and that's all going to be downhill from here. So I'm going to give this, fuck it. I loved this episode so much, it hurts. I will give it 10 out of 10 catatonic states.
Nice.
Nice.
It was amazing. And I can't believe Tammy thought I was going to hate it.
Well,
Really?
Gabby, I'll tell you this. Robin and I discussed it,
Oh,
and we were afraid you would hate it.
why?
Because was it The Wish you hated?
I don't know. Probably.
We were just afraid.
All right.
You would hate it.
I declare it's my turn, and hopefully this day won't mess this up. But here's what I think about this episode. We have Buffy not sure if she's sane. She didn't have a convenient red letters stamped on her hand to tell her. We have Joyce. We have Buffy's friends being thrown down the stairs. We have Tara falling down the stairs after Buffy thinks that she's Clara Oswald and reaches from under the stairs. And we have the kind of a weird waxy demon. We have Spike convincing Buffy to dump the antidote in the garbage, and I have proof coming up soon. And I am going to give this episode, because of the fact that it was a little bit of a stretch when it came to everything that happened, and there are a little bit of things to nitpick, but boy, oh boy, was it awesome. I'm going to give this 9.5 out of 10 old-timey keys to the basement door.
Nice.
Good job.
Okay, that leaves me, I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Moira.
What's up, Steph? Okay, if I had rated this episode right after I watched it, when I gave my ever so sad feedback, I probably would have rated it like 5 out of 10 because I was so distraught. But upon second viewing and upon chatting with you guys, I think the pure genius of how they show us that Buffy in the real world makes more sense than Buffy in Crazy Sunnydale.
Yes.
You know, because they sell it so well, and because it made me feel so much emotion. I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10 bits of light at the end of the tunnel, because you guys gave me back my light, so thank you. And it only loses half a point because Warren, the goddamn rapist, is in it, and I just that's why.
That's quite the turnaround.
Yes. Well, yeah.
PotentialCast, we change minds.
No, you healed my wounded little heart.
Healing wounds since 1973. I don't know.
Performing closed heart surgery since 1997.
Yeah, whenever this podcast started in the early 1970s.
I was 14 when this podcast started. And now my kids are in university, so there you go.
University.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. I can't add anything else.
You're not allowed to.
I give it 10 out of 10. Writers treating viewers like they have a brain in their head.
Yay!
Thank you, Diego Gutierrez.
Yes.
You're my hero.
And Diego's usually such a loser, you know? He always gets lost, and then the sniper comes. And
Oh man.
Yeah, Diego Gutierrez. He was like the story editor for seasons and seasons and seasons. So he finally got promoted to a writer.
Yay.
Kind of like Douglas Adams. He was a story editor on Doctor Who for years and
Really?
years, and then he got a couple writing credits. Yeah. And
Cool.
then he was one of the greatest sci-fi comedy writers ever in the history
Yeah,
of the world.
I was thinking the other day, okay, you know how in England, sci-fi and fantasy is more accepted into mainstream than it is here. Here, you have to be a freak
Yeah.
to be a sci-fi
Yeah.
or a fantasy fan. And, I mean, isn't it because everybody grew up with Doctor Who in England?
Darn right. Yeah.
So, that's amazing.
Oh, but here we had Captain Kangaroo, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Dress Up, Polka Dot Door, Today's Special, The Friendly Giant, Sesame Street, whatever. Hey, did we all rate?
Special. Did you say that?
Pokeroo.
Yeah, of course I did.
I love Pokeroo.
Muffy.
No, that's Polka
Muffy
Dot
with the
Door. I'm
rhyming on
saying
the timing.
Today's Special. Oh, yes.
Yeah, with Sam, the security guard, and Jody, who went on to be an anchor for CBC News World. Every time I see her, I'm like, oh, Jody. Oh. Hey, yeah, that's what we thought. You can let us know what you think by sending us an email at
PotentialCast@gmail.com.
We'll just blame the delay. You can call us 270-40-BUFFY, which Paul Mackey didn't do. What up, bro? Come on. You can join the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/PotentialCast. You do require to have a Facebook account for this to work. And also, if you try to join and there's no information about you on your public profile, and I suspect that you are out of China and you want to promote shoes and sunglasses, and you're a bot, then I'm going to lay the banhammer down on you. So please be real if you want to join the Facebook group. Keep it spoiler free.
Keep it real.
And you can go to potentialcast.com and go to twitter.com/potentialcast. Hey, I can't wait for the day that we don't have to say keep it spoiler free. It's going to be awesome.
Won't be long.
Because the podcast will be over. That's why.
I'll have grandchildren by then.
I will actually have children.
So here's my quote. This is spoken almost immediately before Buffy dumps the antidote in the garbage can. You're addicted to the misery. It's why you won't tell your pals about us. I'd actually have to be happy if you did. They'd either understand and help you, God forbid, or drive you out, where you can finally be at peace in the dark with me. Either way, you'd be better off for it. But you're too twisted for that. Let yourself live already, and stop with the bloody hero trip for a sec. We'd all be the better for it.
Okay, I want to go because of my hate of the geeks. All right. Buffy, you used to create these grand villains to battle against. And now what is it? Just ordinary students you went to high school with. No gods or monsters. Just three pathetic little men who like playing with toys.
I'll go. What? You think this isn't real just because of all the vampires and demons and ex-vengeance demons and a sister that used to be a ball of the universe destroying energy?
So,
That was awesome.
I got one. So, she's having the Wiggins issue. Thinks none of us are real. Bloody self-centered, if you ask me.
Awesome.
I altered his reality. Get it? Never mind.
So good. I just love
have
that
another.
scene with Joyce and Buffy in the silent. I thought that was like possibly my favorite scene of the entire series, like of Angel or Buffy.
Here's my favorite scene. My favorite scene of the episode is "You can't hide, Dawn."
Who says that?
Buffy. When she's
Buffy.
Oh, and she's like,
yeah.
and you're like,
Can't hide, Dawn.
Bloodthirsty. Oh my god.
and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So good, guys.
So next week, are we ready for that part yet?
Yes, please.
Hey,
Next.
hold on. First, we talk about our guest and we
Oh.
thank her.
Oh,
Hey, Moira.
thank you, Dr. Moira.
Thanks for
Lurio.
being on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being
It's good
on.
to
We
be
really
here.
appreciate it.
It's been a while. So, thanks.
It has. Where can we hear you?
Well, if you listen to this week's intro to X, you'll hear me there.
Oh.
I recorded that yesterday. Spoiler alert. You can hear me on way back when I did FisherCast, which was an introcast to 6 Feet Under that I did with Robin that ended like 2 years ago, but it's still out there in the the world and various other places sending
and
feedback
Desiree.
to various other people. Yep.
Thank you, Moira Baum.
Thank you, Laura Ferrer.
Hey, Steph, what's on the plate for next week? Because this delay is driving me up the wall.
Next week is entropy. Entropy. Entropy.
Is it really?
Entropy.
No.
I know. It's one
There's
of my
really only
favorite
one
words.
entropy, but
Entropy, correct me if I'm wrong, is the idea that everything is devolving into chaos and into disentanglement?
Yep.
Lack of order or predictability,
Awesome.
gradual decline into disorder. Sounds like it's going to be a great finale.
I think we have a winner. All right, folks. For those of you watching on the YouTube, all 8 viewers, thank you for being with us live. For those of you listening on the podcast, listen. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go to iTunes. You're going to search for PotentialCast. Don't misspell PotentialCast like I did on the YouTube page. Okay? Spell it properly. And you're going to give us a rating, and you're going to write a review. It takes less than 2 minutes to do that. So when you're going to do that, you're going to rate us, and you're going to comment, and you're going to let us know what you think. And we'll be much appreciative. And you know what? It doesn't matter what store you access. It could be the Canadian store, the American store. It could be the store in the Philippines. It doesn't matter. I have access to all of your comments. So please, write a review and let us know what you think. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Great episode. I loved it, guys. Just want to say one more time.
Bye, everyone. Happy Lost Anniversary.
Bye. Happy Friends Anniversary too.
Happy Friends Anniversary, too.
Yes.
4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, Jenny.
Anyways,
I'm
ding.
I'm gonna stop the broadcast and then share some music with my lovely
Could he
friends here.
be any
Bye,
more
YouTube.